Welcome everyone to we are not the first, we are the first, but we're not the last call-in show. Is truly directed by you, the callers. Welcome to the Conquest call-in show. Tonight, we have a very special show. Every week is special with Matt Zemek, but we have a very special guest this week, incoming freshman offensive lineman, Hayden Treater. We're really excited about having him here. He's going to be joining us for your calls later on if you guys all behave yourselves. But we're going to get started here with Matt, and then we'll warm up some phone calls. Remember, the topic here I have thrown out to you guys is have the moves we've made in the coaching staffs on the defensive side of the ball, and have and I want you to think about this, the incoming class last year, and it's including this current class we're bringing in, which includes Hayden. Have we done enough to get bigger on the offensive line, getting those road graders, getting those maulers, getting us ready for the tough physical play in the Big Ten? Do you think USC and Lincoln Riley have done enough at this point? That's our topic, but as you guys know, this is your show. You guys direct it. You guys tell us where we're going. Bring us with all the questions you have. If you have questions for Hayden, save those for a little bit later. He'll be here probably about the 6:20 mark on the West Coast, 9:20 on the East Coast. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Doing okay, Tim. I'm really excited to be able to talk to Hayden coming up in a little bit. And I think when we talk about is USC ready for the Big Ten? I mean, the obvious, one obvious point of interest is, seeing Will Howard go off to Ohio State. And, USC, a month ago before the Holiday Bowl, it seemed as though USC needed a QB1, but then Miller Moss steps in, does his thing against Louisville in the Holiday Bowl. Well, we have our QB1, and it was Ohio State, not USC, which reached out to Will Howard. And it's just a fascinating story because, I know a lot of USC fans were thinking, Will Howard, like that's not a Cadillac quarterback. That's not a USC quarterback. That's not how you take the baton from Caleb Williams. Opinions were definitely split on Will Howard. Some thought he was good. And I personally think he's actually a little bit underrated because, again, he was filling in for injured Kansas State quarterbacks earlier in his collegiate career. So if you look at the overall stat lines, that's not reflective. The aggregate numbers over the totality of his K-State career, not reflective of how good he is. So I do think he's underrated. Yet, he's not in the same league as Caleb Williams, and he's not in the same league as some of the other top quarterbacks in college football. So opinions at USC were split on him. And now Ryan Day, in his moment of need with Kyle McCord transferring to Syracuse, and then seeing how disastrous that Cotton Bowl game was against Missouri, well, Ryan Day reaches out to Will Howard, and Will Howard goes to Columbus. So we're going to have a Miller Moss, Will Howard debate throughout the offseason. It's going to be really interesting. And just the other point to make in terms of, is USC ready for the Big Ten? And Tim, please interrupt me if we have a call coming in, because that's obviously our first priority here. With Penn State laying an egg in the Peach Bowl against Ole Miss, with Iowa looking horrible against Tennessee, with Wisconsin blowing the lead to LSU's backup quarterback, that was not Jaden Daniels, that was Garrett Nussmeier in its bowl game. So Michigan is the only top Big Ten team that really represented well in the bowl season. And of course, Jim Harbaugh might be the new head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers a week from now when we do our next Friday call-in show. So, like, USC's position within the Big Ten relative to, let's say, 2 weeks ago, going way up. It's been a really good 2 weeks for USC in terms of thinking about the Trojans' situation and positioning in the Big Ten. But obviously, we'll get into that more with Hayden as the show goes along, and also taking your phone calls here on the Conquest call-in show.
If you are following our buddy Gabe over at Trojan Blade, he just came out and let us know that breaking news that a depth piece that we're looking at. We know that we have Miller Moss, that he will be QB1, but that leaves us really thin at quarterback, and they're looking to bring in a quarterback in the portal, and that possibly could be a true freshman from UNLV, Jada Mayava. I don't believe there's any relation to Kaluka Mayava, but there might be, who knows. And he was the freshman Mountain West all freshman team and passed for 3,000 yards, 17 touchdowns. This guy's, according to Gabe, really big kid with a big arm, and could fill a lot of what we're looking possibly that the Will Howard situation could have been. So this kid's big. He's 6'4", 224. He's athletic. He can move. Again, big arm, big kid, and is not averse to running. So that's just in, not right now, but later on. You guys make sure you go check out the Trojan Blades article. Gabe does a great job on his video, on his channel. Make sure you check that out. I'll drop, as a matter of fact, the link to his channel is in the description already. So callers, the phone line is open right now. If you do want to call in, make sure that you save your questions for, if you do want to call for Hayden, that will be in about another 10 minutes or so. We're taking those calls. But if you have calls in general about the move to the Big Ten, are we ready? Are our defensive moves ready? Do you like the direction USC is going? Please give us a call right now. Number, as always, 888-997-4539, 888-99-RILEY. So give us a call. Let us know if you think USC is moving in the right direction or any other thing you want to talk about here as far as USC football is concerned. So, Matt, I know you're writing all week long over there at Trojans Wire. Matter of fact, sorry, we got a call. Let's hold that thought about the Trojans Wire for 1 second.
Sure.
So, good evening. Thank you, caller, for calling in. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Gary from Dana Point.
Gary, great to hear from you. How you doing,
I love
Gary?
you guys. Hey, I'm doing fine, and just look forward to this show every week. I'm finally a subscriber. Hope everybody out there is subscribed and takes advantage of this great source of information. My question is really kind of quick. I'm all in with Miller, Moss. He was fantastic. And more importantly, the team seems to be galvanized around him. Now, I've heard it said that, well, remember Matt Fink had that one good game, and then the guy dried up and blew away. And so I don't take the position that Miller is one of a kind, that just for one day only. I think he's got this team behind him. And I also think that the level of performance that we saw, in some ways, I think he suits the offense almost better than Caleb Williams did. Now, I realize that if it wasn't for Caleb Williams, it would be carrying us out on a stretcher, for the last 2 years. But I think Miller fits in perfectly. And so I just wonder what your thoughts are about Miller and the chemistry and the team and how that bodes either well or how does it bode toward this season?
Great call. Great points. All of them, Gary, as always. I think first off, anytime you have generational Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner, probably the greatest quarterback I'll ever see in my lifetime here at USC, it's something special. And he came just at the right time as we struggled to get that. We had pieces. We brought in some strong pieces through the portal. Schools were heavily after the guys that we brought in. However, for whatever reason, on the right side especially, it just didn't seem to click. And it looked like Caleb was running for his life pretty much from the snap. You had a bunch of free runners, a lot of miscommunication really on the line throughout the year. So I'm glad that in the with a couple of moves, we keep talking about these young offensive linemen that are USC. But with the emergence, moving Elijah Page, right, and playing tackle, allowing to guys to move inside. You have a Jonah Monheim that gets to move inside and feel comfortable in that position. Allowed Miller to look so well in that game. I wonder what Miller would have looked like if he had faced the onslaught that Caleb did all season long. They did seem to get that figured out in the Holiday Bowl against a very good pass rush, by the way, I may add. So I'm happy with it. I think that to answer your question, going back to like Matt Fink and past quarterbacks that came in, had a great game against Utah. The famous, I think it was hilarious that the Raina Troy people called it the YOLO game, right? Where he just would drop back. He was just tossing that ball up, throwing 50-50 balls left and right. I was amazed by that game, and Matt Fink absolutely balled out. Great Trojan. But when you watch what Miller Moss did, he played within the system. There were some people talking about, maybe decision making, one small hit towards Caleb, but he wasn't getting the ball out on schedule. What you saw Miller do is to fit some tight windows, throw the ball, stay within the system, take that check down pass, and just made the offense move down the ball. Then you have that safety cheating up, and then you're beating him over the top, right? So I think the way Miller did it, and when you set bowl records, I mean, you're on the right path. The way Miller did it makes me very comfortable with the fact that this is not a one-hit wonder. This is a guy that's spent his time, paid his dues within our system, sat behind Caleb for 2 years, learning the system, getting that tutelage, not only by, you get to sit there, be a mentor by Caleb. Look at this guy's pedigree. He gets mentored by Caleb. He was coached by Kingsbury, right? And the analyst that was in. And you also have, I don't know, this guy, you might have heard of him, Lincoln Riley, whispering in his ear as a quarterback whisperer. I am more than excited for a guy like Miller, who said before, I don't care who you bring in. Let's go. I'll compete with them in the spring. That's the kind of leader we want for USC. Sorry, that was a bit long-winded. Matt, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not be confident in Miller Moss. I think it's very easy to think that USC is in good hands. And Gary, we talked about this last week, but it certainly bears repeating this week, that the whole offense and the whole team coalesced around him so much. And that's true winning football. It's when all 11 guys pulling together, everyone doing his job, and that's how everything works properly. And, the receivers and, Dorian Singer transferred. So that's an example of, a transfer that didn't pan out. And, Dorian Singer made his name. He made his reputation a year ago by winning 50-50 balls. And Caleb Williams wasn't willing to throw 50-50 balls. And let me be clear. Should Caleb Williams be throwing 50-50 balls? No, he should be throwing the high percentage pass, the pass that he feels comfortable throwing. And so, in many ways, and I know Caleb Williams said, hey, can we get him? When he saw Dorian Singer make all those catches against USC in 2022, a 45-37 shootout, Caleb Williams said, hey, can we get him? We were all impressed, not just Caleb Williams, but, if Dorian Singers was banking on the idea that he was going to be that 50-50 guy, the guy who would catch those 50-50 balls, well, that was a miscalculation on his part and also on USC's. The USC passing game and the USC offense rocked and rolled in 2022 because you had Jordan Addison getting wide open. And you had Caleb Williams being able to throw, into some pretty large windows and some pretty open spaces, and receivers were creating lots of space, carving out these nice pockets in a secondary. That's what Caleb Williams had to throw to. He had an offensive line that was giving him more than enough time to throw the ball there. But the point is, you had everyone doing his or her job, and it wasn't about a receiver making 50-50 catches and quarterbacks taking undue risks. You had everything coming together the way Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, for that matter, envisioned it. And so in the Holiday Bowl with Miller Moss, what you saw was it was a return to that notion of the O-line did its job, the receivers were doing their job, quarterback was doing his job, all the parts were fitting together. And Miller Moss certainly inspired that kind of complementarity. And so the last point to reemphasize, Gary, is that when you have a super duper star quarterback such as Caleb Williams, it's easy for the other teammates, and this is not even a criticism, this is just human nature. It's easy for the other teammates to become spectators and say, Caleb's going to rescue us. Caleb's going to solve it. Caleb's going to figure it out. And with Miller Moss there was a knowledge going in. Oh, we don't have a proven superstar quarterback. We have to all do our jobs. And that galvanized the offense. It created the better effort from guys at all the position groups. And so Miller Moss, by inspiring that kind of effort, the team is just going to be able to carry that into that LSU season opener. I think it's really easy to be confident about that, because when you have 11 guys on an offensive unit pulling together the way we saw in the Holiday Bowl, if we get that throughout the 2024 season, USC is going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah, excellent. Gary, anything else for us?
Well, I just want to say, Matt, I am so on board with what you said about that the team was sort of an observer of Caleb, not necessarily consciously, but they're looking for a rescuer, which is sort of human nature. But I saw that with Miller, I agree with you. Everybody said, you know what, it's us. It's everybody on the boat has to row together. The final thing I'll say is that, Tim, you have been extolling the virtues of these offensive linemen. I think that's the key to our season. I think if we can have an offensive line that'll really protect Miller, I think Miller, what we saw at the Holiday Bowl, will be every week. So anyway, love you guys. Love your show. I love your insight, and look forward to this Friday at 6:00 every single week now. But thank you guys. And by the way, I did get subscribed. So there we are.
Awesome.
We love you, Gary.
On. Yeah. Fight on, Gary. Appreciate your call every week. Really do appreciate it. Yeah. You guys, look, we all know this. If you're Gary's, at USC, we're known for Heisman trophies. All those Heisman trophies are beautiful. Those quarterbacks and those running backs. But none of those quarterbacks or running backs would have ever won Heisman trophies without the linemen in front of them. And if you look, whenever we've had Heisman trophy winners, we've had, very good offensive lines. Last year, we were the strongest unit on this team. The quarterback, the wide receivers, really our offensive line in 2022, when Caleb won that national champ, when he won the Heisman, it was really, that's why he brought them. That's why he brought them to New York and brought them everywhere, because he owes that Heisman to that line. So next up, caller. Hello. Thank you for calling in. You're on with Matt and Tim. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey guys, Russ from San Diego.
Russ, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Great. How you boys doing?
We're doing great. Listen, I have a great guest for us. Anytime I can get someone like Hayden Treater to come in, I am more than happy to do a show. Trust me. What's on your mind, Russ?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. You guys deserve this. This is going to be a good show. I'm gonna get to it, so I don't take up any of Traden's time. But yeah, just for the sort of, are we ready to the Big Ten, and are we sort of big enough? I would like to assert, like, it's not like you have to choose size or speed. And I think that's kind of been a false dichotomy that we've sort of developed, not necessarily on this show, but like as the fan base in general over the past year. I mean, the best guys in the trenches, defensive or offensive, the best defensive linemen are guys that are both big and fast. Those are the guys that are not coming to our school right now. And I mean, we don't have to go back too many years. I remember guys like Kenichi Udeze, Sean Cody, Leonard Williams, Frosty Rucker. Those guys, they weren't like small guys who, it was just, we got away with being small. Those guys were big, they were fast, they were good. And, wouldn't you know it, Sean Cody and Kenichi Udeze beat the bricks off of a Michigan team 28-14 for us to win a national championship. I mean, we go back to the days when we were a good defense. We were routing Big Ten teams all the time. I mean, we had a home and home with Ohio State. I know you guys remember this. We beat the bricks off of them, 35 to whatever that first time. Close game the second time. There was the Rose Bowl against Penn State. That thing was over by halftime. And, I don't think the difference then was that we had big guys. It was that we had big guys that were also fast, which is another way of saying that they were just the good, coveted defensive linemen. And the reason we had those guys is because we had, the program was rocking and rolling. Pete Carroll was our defensive coordinator and our coach. And, he had the defense. The defense was good. And as it turns out, good players want to go play for a good defense. So, are we going to go 11-1 next year? Yeah, probably not. But we've got, along with just making, empty platitudes, these haven't been empty platitudes we've made. We've got a coaching staff for the defense now that I think far surpassed our expectations. When we were on day 10, day 11, day 12 of not hiring Jim Leonard and who are we going to have to settle for, I don't think any of us thought that we were going to have the defensive staff that we have assembled right now. I thought all of us were preparing to settle for much less than, sort of this like, Justice League super friends of defensive staff we have now. So I think our defense is going in the right direction. The more it goes in the right direction, we're going to start getting those guys who are both big and fast to come play for us again. And, we don't just, there's plenty of guys in Division III that are 6'5", 330 pounds, and they can't hack it in Division I, right? So that's kind of my thoughts, and I'll kick it over to you guys.
Well, there's a lot there. What I'll go into is this. I'll keep it really simple because I say this a lot. I'll just say it again. When USC is right, it's done. And really, when all football is done right, look at your powerhouse teams. It's done in the trenches. It's done. When you think about the strong defense that you had at USC throughout the years, going back to Pete Carroll, it starts with a Sean Cody, a big Seth Ellis, right? Big Mike Patterson. That big nasty this run stuffer in the middle that's gonna collapse and shove that pocket right in and let the guys from the outside eat. And then what happens on the offensive side? I just said earlier, you don't have these Heisman Trophy winners unless you have those big dudes up front. And that's why you need to build the line. And that's what we've been doing. Everyone thinks you can just build this line overnight. We win 11 games in year one. Everyone goes, oh, we're in the national championship next year. You don't realize that we lost all of those 5 and 6 year guys on that line, all that strength that we brought in, and you were slowly rebuilding because behind them, there really wasn't a lot of depth. But when you have the 5 guys from the previous class and the 5 guys in this class, you guys, we're going to talk to Hayden in a second here. These guys are absolute maulers, and they're big, and they're hungry, and they're nasty. They're tough. They're going to be the kind of guys we need to go knock heads in the Big Ten. So excellent call. Thank you, Russ. I've got Hayden here right now. I'm going to bring him on. Appreciate your support. Thank you so much for calling in.
Awesome. Fight on, boys.
Fight on, Russ. Well, I just said it there. We're going to have a caller. I'm going to bring you on, but I'm going to put you on hold because you're calling in right now. We got 3 in the queue, and I don't know how else to do this. So, hi, caller. If you could hold on a few minutes, we're going to talk to Hayden for a few minutes, and then we'll bring you on. You can speak to him then. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
All right, hang tight. All right, so with no further ado, let's go ahead and bring on our very, very special guest, Hayden. Thank you so much for making it tonight. Really appreciate you joining us. So for those of you guys that don't know, this is Hayden Treater. Hayden is a product of Colorado. Cherry Creek is his high school. They messed up on his height. We're going to correct that really quickly. The services have him at 6'6", 300. He can play both guard and tackle. We'll get into his preferences, what he likes to play there, and football in general. But I'm going to shut up because we brought him on the show to talk. Hayden, how you doing?
Doing great. How about you guys?
Just absolutely excited for you to be here. Well, let's start with that right now. So they have you listed here at 6'6", 300. And any updates to that? Is that even correct?
No, it's not. That was my weight as a sophomore, my height and weight as a sophomore. Currently, I am 6'7", 320, 325-ish, somewhere in that range.
And so this is the size that we're talking about getting ready. That is absolutely got Big Ten Mauler written all over it. In high school, you were a tackle. Is that correct?
No. My freshman year, I played right tackle. But then my sophomore year, I ended up starting at left guard for a while. Then my junior season, I started at right guard, played right guard throughout the season. Then my senior year, I started at right guard. Then after a couple of weeks, started at left. Then for a couple of weeks, I went, back and forth between left and right. And then for a couple of games, I played left tackle. So I've played all 4 positions. I'm really everywhere.
All right, sorry, callers. You guys hold off on the calls for a minute here because we're take some call. We're going to talk to Hayden, then we're going to bring in some calls. So walk us back then. Now we had a talk earlier about you in high school and your high school career. Just tell us a little bit about your time at Cherry Creek, your coach, and how he got you ready for USC.
So my offensive line coach at Creek, Det Betty, has been excellent. I mean, every year he's put out, major big talent offensive linemen. Last year was a bit of a down year, but the year before that we had a 4-star who ended up going to Ohio State, and George Fitzpatrick. And then the year before that, another 4-star. And so, he's been known for putting out these big guys. And so, working and playing underneath him has been amazing. He's taught me so much. I've learned from, some excellent players. My head coach, Dave Logan, played in the NFL. He was one of, I think, the numbers 3 athletes to be drafted in football, baseball, and basketball. So, he knows his way around the pros and what it takes to get to that level. And so, playing underneath those guys, I've learned tons. I mean, they've been the perfect coaches, and I've been like extremely lucky to have them, in high school. And it's been great.
And then you got your offer from USC, and what was that process like? Who spoke with you? Who got all initiated, and what sold you on USC?
So Coach Henson actually flew out to Colorado, going on his school visits and all that stuff. And he ended up at Cherry Creek. It's funny. He told me he was in Colorado just to check a box, to say he's been to the state, he's seen the talent, and wasn't really expecting anything. But, we were hosting, workouts before school, just some offensive line technique, stuff like that, getting our footsteps in, working, bag drills, stuff like that. And he was watching me and, told me he was amazed. He went out into the parking lot, called Coach Riley, and he's like, look, we need to offer this kid. I love his size. He moves well for his size, so I ended up, getting the offer later that day after talking to him a couple more times, just making sure, I fit the bill and all that stuff. And I mean, he wouldn't leave me alone after that. So I was talking with him, once a week. And, after, spending more time with the staff, talking to more people, I, decided it was time to commit.
Matt, any thoughts? Any questions?
Yeah, Hayden, how much did USC's move to the Big Ten influence your thought process? Because it's been interesting just to see how a lot of USC's incoming recruits, USC's getting them from all over the country, from the Southeast, from, Louisiana, Texas, you're from Colorado. So it's not just, guys from Southern California. And there's much more of a national identity. That's going to be one of the talking points of this Michigan-Washington national championship game too. They're both schools are going to be in the Big Ten next year. So how much did the Big Ten factor into your decision, your desire to play not just at USC, but to have kind of a spotlight experience for college football?
Yeah, well, it was kind of like the whole SEC recruiting point, right? It was like, oh, these are the best players. You're going to play against the best players. You're going to become the best player because you're playing against the best players, And to me, it was really just, it's not the SEC anymore, in my opinion. I think that the Big Ten, which has been proven by these most recent bowl games, is the best conference in college football. I think that's where, the best players come out of, in the trenches, out of the trenches, and I think that being able to play in that conference and, hopefully dominate is going to really help my resume to getting to the NFL, which is truly my ultimate goal.
And so you've done some training, so you're coaching training, but also you've sought help outside of just high school, right? A lot of the top offensive linemen get trained by people. What's that process been like for you?
So for me, it's really been about, getting my body right and stuff, making sure that I am that, offensive line build, that, I stay in shape, I stay mobile, I'm, keeping, moving well. So I've spoken to a lot of nutritionists and, people of that nature to get me trained right, make sure my body composition is well. So for the past year or so, I've been working on, making my body fat trend down to that about 22% mark, which is really where NFL guards and tackles play at, just to, make sure that I fit that bill and that when I do get to USC, I am just able to focus on technique, scheme, and all that stuff.
Has the staff, Hayden, at USC talked to you about the nutrition training regimen they will expect you to be on, or is this a situation where like you already have your roadmap, you already have your plan, and when you come to USC, you're just going to continue what's been working for you with the advice, the consultations that you've been going through? How is that working? Like how much is the USC staff kind of informing you or guiding you through this? How much has it been your high school coaches and coming to USC thinking that, hey, I have a solid foundation here, and the USC staff's job is to kind of work with me and accommodate that plan. You know, obviously there's a balance there. Like, you want to do what you know works for you, but you also want to be coachable under, you know, Lincoln Riley and Josh Henson. So obviously there's a balance there. Tell us about that balance and how you think it's unfolding for you.
Yeah. So right now they're kind of, you know, I'm getting workouts from the strength team and stuff. You know, they sent them to me after New Year's, and I'm doing them on my own to make sure that I'm, you know, up to their standards when I get there. But really, like, talking to the nutrition staff on my official visit and stuff like that, they're like, you have a great base. You know much more than the average kid knows about nutrition and, you know, what it takes to stay in shape and, you know, really be that effective player, because it's not just about your play. It's also about your build and stuff like that. And so, you know, it's really just building on what I've started and making it more efficient, because as much as I know, I don't know everything. And there's a reason why they have so much nutritionists and stuff. And so, you know, the strength coach and the nutrition staff, you know, they had all expressed that they were impressed with where I've been and how much I know about this process. And that they're excited to get to work with me, because they know I know what it, you know, takes to be, you know, perfect.
Yeah, I'm guessing you don't need too much in the way of nutrition and weight training to be at your size and your body weight, your body mass index. Really quickly, did you want to take some calls? There was a great comment. I wish I could find it. Oh, it's right here. He plays like, oh, there you go, from Joe Boyd. You know, you guys have heard me about the star system thing, especially when it comes to offensive linemen, you know, and guys that they might, you know, look the part in high school and it doesn't translate to college, or they don't look the part in high school and then also they blossom in college. They get the size but not the footwork. You know, Hayden here comes. So it's no doubt that my buddy Gabe over at Trojan Blade was an offensive lineman in high school. And he was the one actually that got me in contact with Hayden. And he told me flat out, he said, look, Tim, if he was playing in the Trinity League, if he was playing for St. John Bosco or for Mater Dei or, you know, or anywhere, you know, he would have been a 4-star lineman, you know, and when you're showing up in Colorado, you're not going to all these camps you're required to, going to all these different all-star games, they tend not to rank and they don't see you and they can't really rank what they can't see. And let's face it, really, when you're trying to decide, you know, is this guy a 3 or a 4-star lineman? Is this guy going to be NFL ready when they're sophomores and juniors and seniors in high school? I mean, that's just, my hat's off to these guys. They do a pretty good job figuring it out, but it's far from a science. We were talking, Hayden, you and I, we're talking about Lincoln Riley. He loves that GT pull where you got the guard and the tackle moving out. You got the tackle seal off, the guard kicking out for the running back. You told me what? Go ahead and just go through that. The nastiness of the guys, not you, but also guys in your class.
Yeah. So, firstly, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that. I do feel like, you know, the state of Colorado as a whole is underrated. Especially myself. I do feel like I'm a great player, which is why I'm not scared about stepping onto a program with so much talent when, you know, by these recruiting places, I'm not considered to have that much talent. I really think I will be able to play and make a huge impact. But, you know, to build on what Tim was saying, this class we have is just brutal. They're all maulers. They love to just get physical, to hit people, you know, really play like a nasty offensive lineman, which is what we need, especially in some of, you know, these run plays that Coach Riley loves to run. I mean, it's just like GT, you know, counter, as mentioned before, one of my favorite plays, blow up the end man on the line of scrimmage, go get a linebacker, you know, run for however many yards and get off of it. I mean, it's just, this class is perfect for stuff like that. I mean, we have guys who love to get down, get nasty, you know, people who play like they're, you know, 10 times stronger than they actually are. It's just, it's awesome to see. And it's awesome to see that all of us have that, you know, trait, that nasty factor.
Yeah. Again, when we're talking about this class, Zandamela, Treter, obviously Sena, Taga, and Tanu, these guys are all, you know, the last two might need a year or two putting the weight on, but the first three I just named, these guys are going to be ready to go. You can see the fact that they, at all their film, love to hit, love to get out there, love to finish. And those are the traits, along with their measurables, that make me really excited about the offense, going along with Paige, Taulele, Banuelos. Noah and Raymond. You guys, we have 10 really young, amazing offensive line, and we're going to start seeing that pay dividends starting next year. I do think that we saw Elijah. You guys, I talked about it all year. We saw what Elijah Page did at left tackle early on. They threw Alani Noah in there early for some, because of injury, but they had him out there getting his feet wet. I'm telling you guys, we're going to start to see these young freshmen get out there with their size and with that quality we want to see in offense. We want to see nasty. Some people have called USC in the past year soft. Look at these guys' film and tell me any of these guys are soft. I would love to hear you say it. Matt, anything else before we get the calls lined up?
Well, Hayden's final thing for me, because I have a family situation going on. I mean, it's nothing too serious, but just something I'll have to leave for after I ask this final question. And that is, culture. You hear that word so often at college football programs, culture. And my simple question is, how much do you want to be the new culture which flows into USC in the Big Ten? And how much are you trying to soak up from other guys you see as role models within the program? What's that balance between kind of being your own leader, but then also seeing the examples of others who have gone before you? How do you express culture? How do you see that as part of the way you're going to improve USC football?
Yeah. So Coach Riley recently has talked a lot about, getting guys that love to be Trojans. And I think that's a huge part of why I want to be a part of this team. We want to play for each other. We play for each other. We love each other. It's a brotherhood. These are guys that aren't selfish. They want to make this team better for each other and themselves. And, I'm excited to be a part of it because, you don't get that everywhere. There's a lot of me. I need to be the best player. I need to get the most touches. There's not much of that at USC. And, I think we're starting to see more of that with more of these guys that are, sorry, that's my teammate Max. We're starting to get more of these guys that are, love to be Trojans, love to play for each other, are selfless. And that's a step in the right direction. As far as these, these last players that are still there, with the culture, they know what it's like to win. They know what it takes to win. And I think, keeping that around, having guys that know how to stay, calm, collected, and not get, too confident or, big-headed after wins is really important. And knowing how to stay the course despite having these big game wins and stuff like that. And, they also know what it's like to get punched in the mouth. And that's important too, because, that builds that toughness, the adversity and stuff that you need to learn from to get used to playing these even bigger games in the future. Like we have LSU week 1 next year. That's no cakewalk, but, we've been in the big games. The schedule this year was brutal. And, being so close with so many of these big games and, getting our butts handed to us a couple of times, really helps, put us in the right direction.
Yeah. And absolutely.
Hayden,
And those
just want to say, Hayden, great to talk to you. And Tim's going to carry the show the rest of the way. So best of luck at USC. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, there were a couple comments made. There's one. I'm sorry, I was trying to look for it. Asking you, what do you prefer? Do you prefer guard or tackle? Because you can't play both. But what would you prefer to play? What's your?
I think I'd have to say tackle. To me, I like having the space to work in. Don't get me wrong, guard's fun. It's like a fist fight in a phone booth. But sometimes you want to get out of that those confines. You want to have the space to work with. Like at tackle, you're allowed to mix up your set more because you can go further back without just getting blown up with pressure at guard like you would. And you get to mix things up more. You get to have more freedom in pass pro. But I mean, I love guard too. It's so fun to pull, and my offense at Creek was very big, guard oriented, lots of pulling, lots of hoarding, lots of kickouts, all that sort of stuff. But I mean, whatever helps the team the most, but I think tackle.
Good team answer. I like it. So sorry about that. I've had you guys, those of you guys that hung up, we're opening up the calls now. Appreciate though. Here, caller, you've been here for quite a while. Thank you so much. You're on with Hayden and Tim. What's your question? Where are you calling from? Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hi. Yeah. Go ahead. You're on the phone. You're on with Hayden and Tim. What's your question? First off, I'm sorry. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Hayden's gonna know this name. Sean Sullivan. I'm calling from over here in California. I just wanted to hop on. Hayden, super proud of you, dude. Can't wait to see you go out there and be a mauler up in this new conference, man. But I just want to hop on your show, say a quick congrats, just talk about how proud I am of you, buddy. Get out there, shine, make every moment count. We're all cheering you on. Go Trojans and fight on. But my question is, what's the first thing you're gonna eat when you touch down over here in LA, man? In and out, some pizza. What we got going on, brother?
That's my uncle. Love you, Sean. I don't know. I heard the Mexican food in LA is pretty good, so I might have some tacos or something. We'll see.
Awesome. I love it, man. Well, I just wanted to hop on and say congrats, and USC. I'll tell you what, you guys got a big boy, and he's a mauler. So Big Ten better watch out. Love you, bud.
Love you too. Have a good one.
Yeah, Hayden, we're going to get you some birria tacos because you're absolutely going to love the Mexican food we have here in Southern California, without a doubt. I got a perfect place in Southgate I can take you to.
Okay.
or point you the direction of, because that tacos here are second to none. Callers, we are wide open right now. Call in, talking anything. We're not restricted to just talking to Hayden about Hayden. We're going to open it up to any conversation you want. Hayden told me he's ready to talk about any questions you might have. Again, the number 888-997-4539. That's 888-99-RILEY. Give us a call with your question. My question really quickly to you is, so we're going into the Big Ten, and you talked about that and the challenge of. And so are there any schools in particular maybe that you grew up, you're a fan of? Are there any schools you're really looking forward to playing in the Big Ten?
No bigs, like no schools I was a huge fan of, but I mean, playing in like a Penn State whiteout or say like just the Big House in general is going to be crazy. I mean, that is large scale football. And, I grew up going to CU games because that's where my dad went to college. And I mean, those games aren't anything like what I'll see in the Big Ten. I mean, it's just the atmospheres are crazier. There's, the stakes are bigger, and it's going to be crazy. It's going to be really fun though.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that as well. That atmosphere. I mean, I'm don't get me wrong. My whole life we've been here in the Pac-12, and I love the Pac-12. But I am interested. You have to go up to like. It's like every stadium up there is going to be like Autzen. It's going to be like Rice Eccles, just fans going nuts. But they're not going to be 50,000 seats like at the schools I just named. Now you're talking about 100,000 going to the Big House, right? Going to Camp Randall, going into like you said, going into Happy Valley for those whiteouts. It's going to be something really special to see. So you said your dad played at CU. Was he a lineman as well?
No, my dad was he was a linebacker. He was an All-American linebacker. He grew up in California, then he ended up walking onto the team. He didn't play, all 4 years, but he's definitely been a big source of inspiration for me. He went down this path of, playing high school football at a high level and then going to a top tier program, and, his advice and, past experiences have been a huge help to me.
And you had a number of offers. I mean, so you obviously grew up a Colorado fan. You did have a Colorado offer. Was it at the end? Was it was it kind of a difficult decision for you, or once you just got Jim Henson? I do that every time. Josh Henson, God, if he ever sees me in public, he's probably gonna just step on me. Josh Henson got a hold of you. Was that the end of it? Was you sold on USC?
No, I definitely struggled with it for a little bit. I had my Tennessee and Oregon offers for a little bit. And, I loved both of those coaching staffs. Coach Ellerby at Tennessee does a great job with his guys. And it just had happened to that Darnell Wright had just been drafted to the first round right around when he offered me, and that was a huge selling point. And then, Coach Terry, who's at the time was new to Oregon, But I mean, Oregon's a great program. I had a teammate who ended up going to Oregon, Blake Purchase, if you know the name. He's an edge rusher. He's actually gotten some playing time as a freshman, but he had always brought Oregon around Creek, and it wasn't something new. But after a while, weighing my options, seeing schools, and just being on campus and stuff, and spending more time with the coaches, I just really started to get to know Coach Henson, really started to like him, loved, the actual academics of USC, an excellent school if I, don't make it to the NFL, and just so many opportunities and ways to take advantage of this opportunity I have.
Okay.
Well, we have another caller, Hayden. Hi, you're on with Hayden and Tim. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Jerry, and I'm calling from Pasadena.
Jerry, Pasadena. How you doing?
How's everybody?
We're doing great.
Fine.
What's on your mind?
Well, I have to say this. I've been a lifelong USC fan, going all the way back to the days of John Arnett and C.R. Roberts, just to give you an idea. So, still totally addicted to USC football. I must confess I had no idea who this young man was until I started listening to the show tonight and discovered that he's on his way from Colorado. He looks like he's been in the NFL for a few years with the beard and everything. But, I'm enthused, Tim. I've been following your reviews of the young guys that are there. I paid attention to them in the bowl game, the Holiday Bowl. Guys like Talalele and Alani Noah, Elijah, Micah Banuelos. Now we got Hayden coming. I have a question for both of you, and particularly Hayden, if he watched the Holiday Bowl. I assume he did. I thought the pass protection for Miller was outstanding, and I agree with everything everybody said about the team pulling together as one and working within the system and so on. It just looked flawless. But I was concerned, I never played football. I'm just a watcher, but I was disappointed in the way the run game looked in the Holiday Bowl. And I don't know if either of you had that take as well. I haven't heard it discussed much, but do you agree with that? And if you do, what do you think was wrong with the blocking or the lack of success of the run game in the Holiday Bowl? I wanted to see more from Quentin Joyner and Austin Jones.
Yeah, I did too.
Question.
I did too. I mean, I thought going into the game we would see actually, because of our situation. I didn't have the faith in the pass protection that we ended up getting, and I thought for sure that we're going to see a heavy dose of Joyner and Peterson in that game. I really did thought. But remember, it's a chess game. It's a match. It's not just, you don't just run the offense, just on the offense and you run your game. Very rarely. You need to look at the numbers, right? The numbers in the box is going to dictate, right? How many guys are they putting up on the line to try to stop your run? And it looked like there was some heavy boxes. I got to be honest. I wasn't really looking at the defense. I was really watching Miller Moss, almost like keying in on him the whole game. So, but my assumption would be is that you were looking, the numbers weren't there favorable because they did throw a lot. But also, you got to remember, Miller was hot, man. You got to ride that hot arm. And I know the running time they did run to try to keep them, honest at least. But it was when you have Miller breaking records and you have the guys coming out of offense, the wide receivers with Lemon and Lane and Robinson just lighting it up the way they were. I mean, you got to feed the hot hand.
Fabulous.
Yeah, your comments. What do you think, Hayden?
Well, here's one thing I'd like to offer is that maybe they saw that Caleb's not playing and thought, oh, they're going to run the ball a lot, just like everyone else thought, right? And so maybe they just stacked the box the whole game, expecting that run to start developing. A few other things, you had Jonah Monaheim. He played right guard, which is new for him. He's always been, he played right tackle 2 years ago, left tackle this year, year ago, left tackle this year. It's hard. And, offensive line is such a developmental position that it takes time to get used to switching from the outside to the inside, from the inside to the outside, especially for a guy who's started on the outside for 2 years. And so, 6 weeks is a very short time to get acclimated to such a change. And, he went from left to right, from outside to inside. Like it's a huge change. And that's not to say he was ineffective. It's just things don't go the same way. And so, and like Tim said, when you've got a quarterback who's throwing it well, your pass protection's going amazing, which I think we might have found the combination there, Jonah playing on the inside, Elijah playing on the outside. Then why mix it up? I think you'd want to see more of the run game, but maybe that wasn't the goal with this game. And maybe the goal was to, let's bring up, everyone's attitudes. Let's, get a win. Let's show what, this whole team can do, how the young players play. And, I really think that was why we didn't see more of the run game and why it wasn't as effective. It's just because too many changes and not the goal of the game.
Well, it did seem like they fixed that pass protection situation, but Hayden, Jarrett Kingston's not going to be here next year, so they might need a right tackle. So, but anything else for us, Jerry?
Well, no, let me thank you both. Very insightful comments, and I learned a lot. By the way, was not the great Tony Baselli from Colorado?
Oh, that's a good question.
I know there's been two really.
Yeah, I think he came from Colorado.
Why do I think Littleton, Colorado, for some reason? I don't know.
Well,
Littleton sounds great.
I don't. Well, know.
I don't know if Lendale wasn't Lendale from Littleton.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Lendale White?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, but I think Boselli, if you go back and check history books, I think Boselli came from Colorado.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of excited to see young Mr. Treter next year. There's so many great linemen, the great Anthony Munoz, Don Mosbar, Bruce Matthews, on and on and on, and so many great ones. And, welcome to SC. Best of luck to you, young man. And thank you both for taking my call.
Oh, appreciate the call. Thank you, Jerry. And make sure you go here on the channel. I actually have an interview with Anthony Munoz. Nice out. Anthony gave us a whole hour of his time, and we talked about all those guys. I made the reference, Hayden, that my dad explained to me back in the 70s that and into the early 80s that USC, they weren't ushering in a rotation of all Americans. They were ushering in a rotation of all pros that would go in to play 10, 11-year careers in the NFL and be Pro Bowlers, just perennial Pro Bowlers. And obviously Anthony is one of those. And you just talked about Anthony and Tony Baselli, and you have Anthony Munoz, those two Hall of Fame offensive linemen. I think USC has 5. Ron Yeri, I gotta go back. Someone's gonna kill me. Matthews. There's a number of
Ron Yeri.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of all the Hall of Famers. So, but I think there are 5 NFL Hall of Fame offensive linemen from USC. I mean, some schools don't even have 5 NFL Hall of Famers. We have 5 offensive linemen in the Hall of Fame. And it's again, when USC is right, our offensive line is moving. That's why we're tailback U. That's why we had all those running backs, because they ran behind the offensive line and the lineman we're talking about right now. But yeah, Jerry, great call. And it was John Jaguar Arnett. Is that right? Jaguar was his nickname?
Yeah, Jaguar John Arnett.
Yeah, all right, I thought so. Before my time, but I've heard the name. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jerry.
Yeah, well, you need to find out who he was, Tim.
I've seen film.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you.
Take care.
See you.
Okay, good. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Well, that opens up a line, you guys. We got a little more time here with Hayden. If you want to call in, we got a few more minutes. I just simply want to say that, again, when you offer to come on the show, I jump at the chance to talk to Trojans. That's what we're all here really for, is to wish you guys all success. We know all of, just to get to where you are right now, you haven't stepped on Howard Jones yet, but all the sacrifice, all the blood, sweat, and tears you've done in weight rooms and on the football field so far to get you ready to be a USC Trojan is something special And for you to take the time to come on our show is just absolutely amazing. I know that all of our listeners truly appreciate it. Really quickly though, just tell us right now, what is the number one trait you think physically that you bring to the table that makes you a college ready lineman?
Well, we touched on part of it earlier with, that physicality, but I feel like I'm really developed as far as technique goes. I talking to Coach Henson and, a couple other offensive line coaches, like, yeah, you have some of the best technique in the West, and so it's, I feel like I do a really good job of taking technique, applying it, and then making it nasty too, making sure I use leverage, get guys to raise their pads, and then finish the block on top of it, and I don't choose one or the other. I'm making sure to develop both at the same time. Unlike where you see some kids coming out of high school who are, athletic freaks, really good at, moving. They're tall, they're strong, maybe need some weight to be put on, need to learn more technique, but, they're just physical athletic players. And then, you have some guys who are, really technique oriented and, need to get that physical part built. I feel like I have both sides, and so, with more time, a little more time in the weight room, just converting some more fat to muscle, more time with, expert coaches, making my technique refined, learning more stuff I don't know. I feel like I could really make a big impact, especially early too.
And we have another caller. This might be the last call of the night. Hello, thank you for calling. What's your name? You're on with Hayden and Tim. Where are you calling from and what's your name?
Hey, Tim. Jamie here from USC Football for Life on Twitter. How you doing?
Good. You're on with Hayden. Do you have any questions for us?
Good. Well, yeah. For Hayden, for sure. Hayden, are you an early enrollee?
I'm not, sadly. COVID kind of messed up, getting.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't really know about it at the time.
Okay, so that's something that I put in the chat. I wanted to see if you were going to be an early enrollee. How is your relationship with last year's freshman class? Have you familiarized yourself with them on a personal level, or you're just waiting for all that to take place when you come in the fall?
Yeah, so I've met everyone, all the players, all the offensive linemen, other positions too. But the only person I really spent a lot of time with was actually Elijah Page. He was, a host for one of my nights on the official visit, and I spent, the whole night with him.
Cool. Well, welcome to the Trojan family. We're excited for the kind of production that we think that you're gonna produce for the squad. For years we've been crying. Where the big boys at? With you being added to the team, I think it's officially we got the big boys on the line. So we're excited for you to be here.
Appreciate it. Excited to be on the
Definitely.
team.
All right. Awesome, Jamie. Thank you so much for your call. Oh,
yeah. What I wanted to also address about the other caller about running the ball in the Holiday Bowl, the first 3 and out, no run. We didn't run the ball to like the 6th or 7th play of the game, and then Lincoln ran it twice and abandoned it until like another 6 or 7 plays. He had no desire to run the ball at all that game, and so I just wanted to put that out there by only running 2 plays. I believe one run was like 1 yard and one run was like 4 or 5 yards, and that's it. And then he didn't come back to the run until much later. And then by that time, they were just stuffing the run. So in my opinion, that I don't think Lincoln even really wanted to run the ball. It was all about showcasing Miller Moss. I think they probably felt that he had a real good shot at exposing their defensive pass game. So I just want to put it out there for the caller that called in and just add my 2 cents. But yeah, love the show, Tim. Love what you do. we'll see you on Twitter.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you calling in. Absolutely. I would just be really quick to say, I would bet you if Lincoln Riley could run the ball on every down, he would probably run the ball on every down if he could stay on schedule and be successful. Because every time you drop back to throw the ball, there's like 3 or 4 things that could happen, and only one of them is good. You know, you can get sacked, you could throw an interception, right? An incompletion, or so there's a lot. Whereas running the ball is nice and safe. You control the clock, you keep your defense off the field. I think that people have this misconception that Lincoln Riley's offense is just pass happy and they want to throw it like Mike Leach, right? It was just very pass heavy. I think you guys really need to look more at what he's done over his career as far as his offense. He does run the ball. They've had great success running the ball going back to Oklahoma. We've run the ball well at times beginning of the season. I don't think he didn't want to run. As Hayden said, and as I said, you need to look at the numbers, and you're running into a heavy box, you're gonna get stuffed because you don't have enough guys to block the guys that are in the box. So I don't think it's a matter of Lincoln Riley wanting to showcase this or that. Also, one big thing that I think I saw in the statistics was that although Louisville had a very good defense, they were, just like we were on the season, very susceptible to explosives. And so those big, long plays are what you're going to see. They did well in the red zone. So if you're to get to them, you want to get to them on the big plays, and USC was successful in doing that as well. So that said, thank you all for calling. We're on that hour. I want to honor Hayden's time. Thank you so much, Hayden. I know just from my brief conversation with you before the show and during the show that we do have a good one. We're really excited to see you bring all that size, because we're going to need all that size going into the Big Ten. Wish you all the success in the world. Any last statement you want for all the Trojans out there?
Yeah, I really appreciate the hospitality from all you fans. I know I haven't played for you guys yet, but you still treat me like one of your own, and I really appreciate it. Fight on, and let's go win some games in the Big Ten.
All right. Well, you guys, again, that wraps up another show. We are not the last, but we were definitely the first to bring you guys a caller-driven show. Oh, I almost forgot. It is January 5th. And when I think of 5, I think of Reggie Bush. Hey, Heisman, you guys, Heisman Trust, give this man his damn trophy back. It's been too long. It's been 4,825 days. Reggie deserves and wants his trophy back. Get out in front of this so you don't look more stupid than you already do. Again, get out there. Last year's offensive line class, bunch of studs. That's followed up with, again, headlining class, Jason Zandamela, Hayden Treater, we have on right now with us. We have Makai Sina, and then we have Taga and Tanu coming in as well, local guy from Huntington Beach. Please, guys, get out there, support these Trojans. We are making it happen on the offensive line again. I can't wait for you guys to see what they could do. Until Monday. Monday, we return to our normal schedule, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern for the Trojan Conquest Live. And then every Friday, your phone calls here on a Trojan Conquest call-in show. We appreciate all of you. And remember, you guys, until next week, fight on.